There we go. Hello, 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 everybody. Ooh. Make sure I have emote only off. Yep. Okay. Emote only is off. Hello, everybody. It is Friday, and I'm a bit late today. Very, very sidetracked, dealing with some stuff. Hi, Blackheart. Listen while preparing for work. Okay. Well, thanks for stopping in, at least. We are going to hop over to Great Ace Attorney Chronicles in just a moment. I need to check something. This is all good. Make sure the leak motion is working. Yep. All right. I'm also keeping tabs on a few other things. Yeah. All right. Keeping tabs, talking to some other streamer friends on Twitch's response to the blackout on Wednesday. Yeah. All right. Let me hop this on over to game screen and get the game started up. Ooh, we're not on the right background here. We could be on the gear clock. There we go. Now, Steam, where are you? Steam? There you are. Oh, hold on. There was a update for Phasmophobia. Let me look at what's updated. They made the dots a little harder to use. Good. I'll read more of those later. I want to run Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And there we go. Oh, okay. Waiting for OBS to capture it. Okay. Continue. Yes. All right. Now we left off, and we had invoked an old law that says we can take time to convince this jury. I don't think we really call them a jury of our peers, do we? I don't think here we've called them a jury of our peers. They're just I think that's technically what they're supposed to be, though. And I've absolutely forgotten what voices I have for almost everybody, so we're just gonna give them new voices, right? Right. So we've invoked the law. They've already voted to convict our client because they don't like him. They've got really convinced really early. Yeah, for some reason they let this man have a knife on the in the courtroom. I don't know why. So he's just flipping a knife here, and we've got like we got this guy. I think he's with the carriages. He like works for the carriages that to transport people around. Hi, phone. Why are you over here? You should be over there. Okay. We have a maid. We have I don't know what this guy is. I'm pretty sure he's just a thief. An old grandma, and I don't know. I think this guy's a banker, if I remember correctly. I want that superpower. Knives allowed in the courtroom. Jack the Ripper, right? So we've invoked an old law that says we can try to convince each member of the jury to take back their conviction. So that's what our goal is right now: is to convince them to go. Wait, we'll take back our vote into the goblet of fire. So let's go. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like that. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. The scoundrel, stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. Oh. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them, and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work, then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, then we contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off. Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. I mean, I guess it's only fair because we got our sword. Apparently. I didn't realize we still had the sword. I was actually wondering that last time we were playing. Did we keep the sword? Because for some reason I wasn't remembering seeing it. But we probably have had it at our side the entire time. The defense's rebuttal. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. Well, let's see. Not you. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. Hold on. 20 pence? For record. I was gonna see if there was a, like, how much it costs. Wait, 20 pence? Pardon? We're going to press this. But does his ability to recall his takings that night really tell us how trustworthy the man is? I manage all his lordship's cash affairs, so I'm very particular when it comes to accounts. I see. A A single penny can mean the difference between life and death, after all, can't it? That's a saying in your country? My point is, a man whose lines his figures is a man you can trust. Those of us in service would swear to that, sir. Does that bench really need any more polishing? So if the good driver says that he saw Mr. McGilded in the act, I don't doubt him. The only task left to do today is disposing of the rubbish. Now wait a minute. One of the other jurors mentioned something about money, I think. Now would be a very good time to listen carefully to the jurors' statements again, Mr. Naruhodo. If you notice an inconsistency in what two different jurors are saying, I should expose it by pitting them against each other. Yes, let's see if I can do just that. It wasn't you. Freaking... We typed and collated, not you. You. You can trust the guild. Fair, fairness is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence. 4 pence right there. So we're gonna hit you. Press first, just in case. That's how much it costs to take the omnibus? That's right. As the guild master, I decided to set a policy for all drivers across the city. One fare, no matter which bus you take or how far you're going. We have to compete with the rise of the motor car, you see. Us coachmen have to make a stand together. Motor cars, you say? Yes, and this murder on one of our buses is extremely damaging to our cause. It's beyond the pale. It'll lead to a decline in passengers, you mark my words. And it's all that rascal's fault. He has to pay. Is it the crime or his buses where he's more worried about? Anyway, every member of my guild is reliable and trustworthy. So if the driver says he saw him do it, that fellow in the dock is as guilty as sin. No. I want to go back. Go back. So we just need to find 2 jurors with contradictory statements and pit them against each other. Which is so much easier said than done. Is that perhaps what you were just thinking? How did you know? Well, I took the liberty of doing some research in case you happen to find yourself in such a situation. Shall I read you what I found out? It's a little long, I'm afraid. Not right now. If I have to rely on advice right from the start, how will I get on later? No, I need to work this out for myself now. Is that perhaps what you were just thinking? How did you know? Well, that sort of attitude is most admirable, Mr. Naruhodo. I know what I have to do. Let's listen to those assertions one more time. Not you. You. So we're going to pit you... against you.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other. They do? Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? I swear on Silver Blaze's maiden name. I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimony we have heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on that night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is. A fair and convenient single price, just the way London's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. Fired! In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication... it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we heard nothing about. Good gracious! This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he let nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then. How do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end? Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of a set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman. We were all in agreement. Why do you have to go and wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo? Ooh. This is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. For the love of Mike! Not you as well? A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo, you did it! If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. And that's where you must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination. Changing my leaning to innocent, I should like to hear what the slipshod bookkeeper has to say for himself. So just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. Let's press.
Hold it!
Careful, you could hurt somebody with that. Yeah, find one to top. That sword hanging from your waist, hmm? No, that's just my battered soul. Well, anyway, I despise anyone with too much money. They're all the same, all stabbing some brickmaker or other behind the scenes, you mark my words. That seems very unlikely, doesn't it? Are you mad, man? We know that small shorty's a rotten Shylock. Well, yes, that does seem to be the case, but... Mr. Naruhodo, please, be careful what you say. If he's been trying to squeeze money out of us less fortunate, then as far as I'm concerned, he's as guilty as sin. The man can hang. Come to think of it, didn't one of the other jurors have something to say about the defendant's underhanded activities? You thought of something, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't let it go. Test your theory. Hit the 2 jurors whose statements seem to be contradictory against each other. No time like the present to use R to pit them against each other, or I'll never get anywhere. I've simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn a logical conclusion. Now, you. The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor beggars belief. No, might be the first person, actually. Let me see. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? No. Right now.
Hold it!
Certainly, the testimonies we've heard suggest the victim and Mr. McGilded were alone in the carriage. Precisely my point. But, could there be some other explanation? Something we haven't considered yet? Such as? Oh no, the wild-eyed look. Well, perhaps that's something we could, all work out together now. Now listen here, maybe you don't know how things work around here because you're from foreign climes. But we're here to form our opinions as individuals. Now what? Oh dear, he doesn't appear to be in the mood to consider an alternative point of view, does he? Hit the jurors against one another, like Susato-san said. Not yours, it's yours and somebody else's. Yours? Let's press you.
Hold it!
What have you been doing all this time? What have you been doing all this time? There. I should have thought it was obvious. I am recording everything that takes place as part of these proceedings. And what have you learned from that? For example, at this moment in time, the judge has used his gavel 11 times in total. The prosecution has snorted derisively at your remarks 7 times in total. And I might add, each time you have gawped like a simpleton. Thank you. And what's the point exactly? So anyway, madame, are you able to explain why you think the defendant is guilty? That is a conclusion I've drawn as a result of the copious notes I've typed. Clearly, but I'm asking you to explain why you've drawn that conclusion. Please don't distract me. It makes it extremely hard to concentrate on my note-keeping. This is going nowhere. It's probably gotta pit him against the grandma. Damn it, poor man on the floor. Figures believe.
Hold it!
I really think you should stop waving that needle around. You heard what the good coachman said before, didn't you? That hideous man stabbed the poor fellow, just like this! Yes, that's what he said, you're right. McGilded Park is such a lovely little place, too. I've always enjoyed resting my legs there while I get on with my knitting. But I had thought that anyone who donated such a delightful place must be a fine fellow indeed. I suppose I was wrong. Whoever would have thought he was a miserable, murdering moneylender with not a scrap of remorse. Oh. I'm sure she's as sure can be that he's guilty now. Well, lately certainly seems to know her mind, doesn't she? Okay. Skip over this. Not right now. Yeah, I think it's the 9th guy against the grandma. You hit against
Objection!
Those two statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel. Post haste. Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can't you see that I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Ha! Want to test me, do ya? It was like this. Stuck the fella next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true. Now then, juror number 6. Oh! Is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madame? Oh, well, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he'd been collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now don't move. Take a look at these two jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? Bless my stitches. What a muddle. What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh. But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet. But what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. The scales. I don't believe it. Wait. Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, dark cheeks. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What of it if two witnesses have slightly different recollections of events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again, and this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, hmm? Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. Oh my god, they're gonna fucking stab him. They're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? I think he was only stabbed once, so court record. Single stab wound. It is out of the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. Huh? What is it, you dark cheeks? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What? What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. You say that's out of the question? Show me some proof. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime, as proven by the autopsy report.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different times. Where'd the knife go? Alright, I concede defeat. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. You've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won. What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said, shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one, and if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Why are you licking the blade on the fucking juror stand? What is wrong with this entire... Everybody here, except maybe the grandma. Like, only the grandma's, like, kind of normal, because she's a grandma. Please tell me he's a barber. He's the barber. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places, and I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. So, Lord Van Zieks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hollow chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zieks. Is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tone no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honored a deathly silence, and I listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Oh, the cloak has come off! Bring forth the witnesses once more. Why is the vampire an attorney? Witnesses. Oops. I trust you've heard the summation examination we have just had to endure. Oh yes, sir. That I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh yes, sir. I heard it. You, sir, on the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo? Yes, sir. My lord, sir. If it transpires that in your previous testimony you were attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Yeah, his name's Beppo. For some reason, he's not a giant white polar bear in a karate outfit, but we make do with what we have. Or not a karate outfit, but a, I forgot what was his gi. His, the Heart Pirate outfit is. Oh, mio Dio, Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. Oh, here we go again. Various misgivings. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear. But, well, I, for one, was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. He fiddled us on the fare, he did, and I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Oh yes, he stabbed him. He did. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. I think so. Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage. Beppo, explain yourself. I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster. The guild fares 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold, and the last hour of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. I'm sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace! And your selfish actions have brought a dishonor upon the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus this last week. What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. Let's see. Only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear, but, let's see, well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. He filled us on the ferry, did, and then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I want to press this one.
Hold it!
This blood-curdling sight, you mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir. Hold on. I need to look at everybody else real quick. Make sure they're not making any kind of motions. Okay. A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of the man the moment his life is taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I did actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. Good gracious, really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker jet next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw the horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. Guessing they'll be the furthest person each time, right? I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Hold it!
Press. So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him? Take a bite. Settle down, take a bite. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only 2 of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a 5th passenger, but as yet, 0 evidence. And what are we wasting all this time for, huh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. Better than his teeth always show. Oh yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so. I think so, yes. So I'm gonna press that one. Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe. What's this? Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. And the gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. Huh. That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all? I really thought that I did, but when I go over it again in my head... No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Hold on. How do I get this?
Excuse me.
Excuse me there. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I forgot the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man? Blood-soaked hands? Hello.
Hold it!
Blood-soaked? Well, perhaps soaked is laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. And you saw that from the roof, through the skylight? Well, the skylight's reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. There was a lamp on the inside of the carriage as well, so I'm quite sure of what I saw. This banker's latest statement. I feel sure there's something not quite right about it. When you feel something doesn't add up, Mr. Naruhodo, that's when you should have a good look through the court record. Yep. Gloves time. Not long ago, this trial nearly came to an end. Somehow we've managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful, as they did before. Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information. Yes, you're so right. I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of a reaction among these witnesses. Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as to the reason. Let's see, Stabbing it, man. Everything I said before stands. Here it is. The side of those blood-soaked hands. We would like to present.
Objection!
Music has stopped. Blood-soaked hands? Well, I admit that soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question. Oh, yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Ah. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. Ah. But, no, that can't be right. You're the liar here, then. Ah. That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said with those both hands. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth? I...
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands. It was only one. But the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically said that he saw blood all over both hands. Which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man his compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I'm pretty sure we do. Oh yeah, isn't his name is in the book of debts. He's in the debt book from Mr. McGilded. Let's look at the court record real quick and double check. Yeah. Among the defendants listed debtors is Bruce Fairplay. There's evidence. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes. Evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay has reason to lie in his testimony. Ah! Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court.
Take that!
This is the list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims tripled by the accused's extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Actually, all just like, uh-oh. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No. Well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debts in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Oh, freak out time! Oh no, he's eating his cane. Take care, Blackheart. Thanks for stopping in. Order! 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 Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord? Let me ask you again. And be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time in which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilded's hands. Both of them. And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. So you keep saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Here we go again. What the witnesses really saw. There was blood on the hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired. That matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains. There can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we would have all seen it. Well, lo and behold. In truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. There's so much incriminating evidence, it's tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what the testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible upon the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. Let's see. So there was blood on both hands of the assailant. I should remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired.
Hold it!
I'm gonna press that. Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well as you know. But, we're crying out loud. We all know that no one else could possibly have done it. It was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to relieve yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? Well, that's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend, that's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10. I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness' scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attacker's hands with blood on them.
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too? Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of McGilded's gloves may have signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir, and I saw the blood on both the bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the brick-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I could point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands. This is puzzling indeed. There must be significant. This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. I don't want to present it, I want to examine.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything? Oh yes, sir. That is to say, no, I didn't, sir. I'm very sorry about what I said before, sir. I'm very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories when I say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir? I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir, I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Oh, please, you didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo? Ah! Anyway, the fact remains, there couldn't have been anyone else in the character who all would have seen.
Hold it!
We'll press that as well. And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylights on the roof of the omnibus? That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember I was shivering, it was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked. That's right, and it's a public bus service for pity's sake. Not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below. Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in that else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through that skylight? large skylight, isn't it? Are you ready? Okay. There's something I'm missing. I know something here. Like. It might not have been able to. Hey, Fana. How you doing? Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus. Hold on, let me stretch a moment and get a drink because my throat is starting to. Just finished therapy and it was really tough. Ooh. Well, you at least got through it. Hopefully, it helped a bit. Hopefully. Ooh. Come on, glasses. Plus. All right, let's see. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylights on the floor of the upper deck. Is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight for me. What? By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? I need to look at the court record because I need to see where the McGilded was. So McGilded was supposed to be, they were both supposed to be here. Well, technically McGilded was here, the banker was here. The other person was here. So he was stabbed here. Welcome back. So he was stabbed on the left side here. They were sitting up here looking down. He was over here. Let me double check on that. So we enter the cabin. So we enter the cabin. He was stabbed. God damn it. Wrong button. So he was stabbed here. So he's either in here or sitting up here where Mr. McGilded was. Mr. McGilded said he was actually sitting here sleeping and then saw that he was stabbed here. And went over to take the knife out, and that's when the others above saw him, you know, with the knife, trying to take the knife out. So if you look at this, if they were sitting up here, they'd look down here, they wouldn't see anybody here. Both rows of seats on the roof face the direction of the travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight is as I've drawn here. Ah. That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite on the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? Pardon? I don't think it could have been Mr. Fairplay. Like, we don't really have that many witnesses here. What the hell? I'm confused. I have literally no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't just a case of go on, Miss Susato. All right then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is to name the passenger in the other seat. Who the hell do I name? This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... what? I'm confused. Didn't McGilded say he was in that seat when somebody else was? Right. They were saying somebody was sitting next to... Okay, I'm gonna say it's Mr. McGilded. Because McGilded said he was sitting across from the brickmaker. Right? That's what I'm remembering. Think? This is going to be so dumb.
Take that!
So the music stopped. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Oh, holy Jesus Christ. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollow chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks. People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own, but I'd see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even the students of an artless backwater as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
I did remember correctly. But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yes, yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary. Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular style of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes us no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be sure? Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGilded would be undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled. He's right. There was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin in the omnibus. It's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it is indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, can we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Demand his testimony. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, then I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out here, I say. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs to get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say. Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Oh god, how did I do his voice? I don't remember. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now two matters in which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal the fact from the police? Begad, no! It's not my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the question, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you, or keep my mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded? The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true? Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You... what? No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am Lord Zanzix. I'm sure you'd be wanting to know why I said I was nothing when I was taken by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom, just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. And who is this young child of whom you speak? That I don't know. You don't know? Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak. Listen to the proceedings. What? Oh. What? Was that a flashbang? Was that a smoke bomb? What the fuck is going on? What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos and people stumbled over one another in desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. Yes, I would like to save my progress. Ooh, excuse me. Alright, give me just a moment. I will continue. I think I can go at least another half hour with my voice, but I'm going to go stretch and use the restroom real quick, so be right back. Pop up the BRB screen. Back in a moment. Alright. Let us continue this for at least a little bit longer. February 12:52 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I managed to find out what happened. Miss Susato, I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. It's just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilded was just talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. Huh? Oh, according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there was, in fact, 5 passengers. Which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right. That's strange. Counsel for the defense. Kindly proceed into the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Mr. Sato. Yes. The old Bailey courtroom. Here we go again. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded. Look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the courts will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks. My lord? I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled the proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious, the army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught, and now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of the deplorable behavior? Ahem, if I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilded? I think perhaps I ought to explain here why it is that this wee lass here was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. 'Tis all tied up to the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorrah, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up from a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless me soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up into a ball, hiding her wee self away. Interesting. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess. But from what I gather on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus. Is that correct? 'Tis exactly as the defense counsel said. This lass was the 5th passenger, my lord. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Gotta love how you don't need to show not guilty, but you have to prove innocence and guilty of someone else. It's so weird. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. We're gonna press this just to... And when you first got onto the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. Cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passenger, as it were. I see. Aye, that's why I took the back side as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is. I can't get his voice steady. It's gonna keep shifting. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means. 'Tis how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable, and where I feel most at ease. And, of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Then Begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me from a fair start.
Hold it!
A loud thud, you say, and a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? Well, it's like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed? Well, now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor. Huh, you didn't see anyone. But at the same moment, you did hear a scream? Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume? Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I sat him upright on the seat across from me.
Hold it!
We're gonna do the press everything, because we need more info. You sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did. On the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? His common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Ada, Lord Zon Zeeks. Now why would that be? You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage, any normal person would hail a cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle of trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no. I was already intending to report it, so I was. Only, I had a mind to find out what the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes, the scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I turned to find where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away.
Hold it!
You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. 'Twas hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When her eyes met, well, me heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. You're really overacting this. Still and all, I pulled her out from under there and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chin wag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, just next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream. A fella's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and a gentleman with a knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witness did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason? Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. So whose hands were on the knife? It's certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused perhaps with this young girl. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. I do wonder how you must be feeling, Mr. Naruhodo. Being the defendant's lawyer and yet finding myself as stunned as everyone else at his testimony? Let's just say it's trying. We certainly had precious little time to talk to Mr. McGilded before the trial. But we mustn't be dispirited. We must try to learn all the facts we can. When we arrived in London this morning, I didn't see my day panning out like this. Mr. Naruhodo, no grumbling, even in your head. How did you know? I should have pressed on that first one. Can I go back? Oh, I can. Alright, let's press that one. We haven't pressed that one, I don't think. Did we? Oh no, we did. I'm done. I forgot. Okay, so we already read through this. Press this one, because it's the only one we haven't pressed yet. I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I can see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well, now, 'tis a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious. Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course. The whole bus was submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's when I found her. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here, a petty thief. Order, order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Oh, dear God. The fuck? Just fucking shoots the judge! Okay. How dare you? What is the meaning of this? Ah! Girl, she's gone! Open your eyes. What kind of voice is it? I'm over here. Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what your lots are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you say, slipped up and got caught in the job. She got herself back into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it? No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast it. Oh, Jesus Christ! Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do with these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. Let me guess, you don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs? Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep four-wheel drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like pink best. Ah, don't wave that thing in my direction again. So... the symbol on the side, that's That's Herlock Sholmes, isn't it? God dang it. He's about to show up, isn't he? So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question. Admitting to a crime in a court of law, 19 considering a professional who doesn't know how to stay quiet in the court of law. Oh, she is 15, but I think she's also street smart enough not to do that, so maybe she's banking on Mr. McGilded here being rich enough to help her get out of this if she gets into real trouble. That's just what I'm kind of thinking on that. It's alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now. Alright, yeah. Just like the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question. Alright, if I have to. Depending on location of this in time era, she could be sentenced to death. Yeah. Pretty sure this is like early 1900s, if I remember correctly. So, it's kind of a tough thing. So I snuck inside the carriage before they locked up the horses, just like always. But it was right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for my troubles that night. I tell you, I can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of my skin, I did. The scream just came out. It's because of this swell found me. It did help me get away, mind. Yes, he had let you go. I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity, myself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. He was sitting on the seat she was hiding under. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. See what I mean? I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I was sat that night. And the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath this seat, I presume? Yes, it does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there, because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah. So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if I let the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought, if it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of the less fortunate lass. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman. My lord, this fine example of a man can't possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Well, what is the truth, though? Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual and they're leaning to the verdict of not guilty? Mr. Naruhodo, this, well, it must mean what? That we're victorious. We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
What the hell? What the fuck is this? What? If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray, do forgive the discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practice. Go the beans. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's last statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report. Good lord. The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilded's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? Well... Order! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend? Huh? Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead, you tell the court now, fella. How this all is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks. Nope. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? No, it wasn't empty. We're trying to get our lawyer license and we're here to show the truth. That's the goal. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my case as counsel for the defense, but as far as I remember at least, when I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Ah, be whisked? What are you saying now, you deaf dog? I thought you were on my side here. What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. But it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. 'Tis not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interests here, lad. Now then. A fellow's memory is a curious thing, not altogether reliable. Now, the court must consider the facts. That their cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit you might have been mistaken? Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house the equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The guild rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times, so it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo wasn't that irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer in the pick-purser line. Oh boy. This case is swinging back and forth now. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. But nothing but cowards, the lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Quite so. I must concur here. Oh, Jesus Christ. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord, what just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, so it would seem. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, all just like always. But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. So we'll press a couple of these. So you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point of spending a joey to make a few bob, eh? It's a rum idea, ain't it? I suppose it means there's no point in spending money to make money. Yeah, it actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief? Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up a little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabin man testified. And 1 little scapegrace riding for free. The red Tonka driver always goes for some grub before our last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself ready and get under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment, full of equipment for the coach. No. Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there. Sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show from your troubles that night.
Hold it!
A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on me own the god permit, at least some of the time. I beg your pardon? Did you say god permit? Oh yeah, well, that's what my kind call it. You said the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. I can't get her voice down. And that's what you come out of your hiding place and get away? That's it. That's it. Only that night, this cove was sat on me from the start. And it didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck. Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin? Yeah. Right, mister? To be sure. To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. Yay, thanks for the hugs. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do ya? So this Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. I'll tell you, I couldn't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all? Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me ahead and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher that who I'm gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under is flush with the other ones, see? So most of the time the passengers plant themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, this Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head. And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out and see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in the carriages, so it's Hobson's choice. Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. So anyway, I was a bit scared, but I had to just stick it out over there. Nothing else for it. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of my skin, I did, and the scream just came out.
Hold it!
When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily? That's right. And then I felt the cushion over me head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes. Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at the crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the cushion and had a quick butcher's which while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the bloke with what had fallen to the floor in the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilded's account, of course. But then, the fellow suddenly turns around and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I should have never risked looking. What? What was that? It's because of that this swell found me. It'd help you get away, mind. Oh, I meant to press that. All 6 members of the jury decided the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear that they're all still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch this verdict in one. Yes, I think you're right. And I have this niggling feeling. Something's bothering me, but I just can't put my finger on it. It's not there, it's the last one that I need to press.
Hold it!
And when Mr. McGilded discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place? I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason? Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit, and he ended up falling onto me. Ugh. How awful. Both me and Scott covered in blood. Ah. Made me feel sick as a dog. Both her hands covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilded for a while. Is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know me name and what I was up to and all of that. Then I heard something from above. Someone screamed. Yes, Mr. First on the deck, one would presume. Well, I didn't want no one seeing me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartish, and this here Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." All 6 members of... Okay. Wait. It goes here.
Hold it!
Press here. Watch him. Not really seen him react to anything.
Hold it! Well, no.
Oh, he didn't do that before, did he? I don't remember him doing that.
Excuse me.
Or maybe I clicked too fast. Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I was wondering if Miss Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps. You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no. It was nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, shut up in the dark. It was terrifying, so it was. I see, yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. And I don't know about yourself, but I find the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe. Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything, an unusual noise, perhaps? Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Jeebers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp. What a pity. Only Miss Lestrade had heard something. It might have been giving us a vital new clue. Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? Profoundly important. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important. But all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes. Which is a profoundly important thing. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless... Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating the last statement, please. What? Supplement? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. It won't work on me. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. I was straining the ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring. Press.
Hold it!
So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hid yourself? No, not exactly. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was up. But then when I saw the swell gent getting on, they got your head down so you didn't notice me. And Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah. Wouldn't you add an me bit? Eh? What a mug. And then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, I see. But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his bait to market. Snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? Doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, what you just told the court clearly at odds with the facts. Huh? At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Zeeks realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, he heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring, the thick Ryunosuke think. There's something else he should have heard. The thud, yeah. Show a piece of evidence, which would be very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. Particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. Sound very clearly explained by the following piece of evidence. What would be the thud, though? Oh, wait. No, them knocking. Because they knocked on the door to go in. To try to get in. Wait, I don't want to go in. How do I present the... How do I present? Oh wait, no, I have to go back and present the omnibus itself. Right? It's probably something. I have to probably present one of the people in there, or present Mr. Fairplay. I think is the one who knocked. Right, that's probably wrong. No. Okay. It's time my Nipponese friend's ears. Allow me to introduce you to a sound that would be very real indeed, however. The sound of your death throes. Wow. Wow, you're right, that was loud. Person. one, I think it was him. One of these two knocked. I just don't remember which.
Take that!
Damn it. I'm gonna save because
Take that!
they knocked, so god dang it. I can't go that far back in the court record, so... Or I can, but it would take forever. Supposed to be Mason?
Take that!
Okay. I guess it makes sense. I thought she did mention that Mason and McGilded entered the cabin, right? She did. I know she mentioned McGilded entered. I thought she also mentioned Mason went in, right? Or is this mentioning because he got stabbed that she should have heard that? All right. Thrice fired Mason? Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. I thought, didn't she mention that? I thought she did. That's why I wasn't going for that. I was going for the knocks. Order. Order. Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus. Is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person aboard the omnibus was Mr. McGilded? That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at the time? Did I not just say as much? I was traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure. Okay, I thought she did mention that. That's my bad. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't I? Waiting for this swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah. We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Ah. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zeeks. Yes, he knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. Get right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? It makes no sense whatsoever. This girl is a pickpocket. Let's not forget that. Oh no! Oh no, Grandma! Oh boy, here we go again. Ah, she didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways, but I must say, I can't abide liars. Neither can I. Mr. Foreman, I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways, but I must say, I cannot abide liars. Oh my god, this court case just... Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing. Ah, what are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Abadan? This is carnage, it's perfect! Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going, I know. We can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilded's innocence. The judge will rule and we'll have lost. I very much want to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. But those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Oh no! Oh no! Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel! I'm sorry, sir? Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus at the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. Oh, what the f- We're saving you! What the hell? I don't even... What the hell? Court record. Yeah, oh, you missed that when I pointed it out, like, a couple streams ago. The little, the little Easter egg, Phoenix Wright omnibus. And I'm pretty sure this is a reference to something, I just don't remember what. So... he was in there already. Clearly, he was in there already from before.
Objection!
Tell me, my learned friend, what was the function of that clearly in your last sentence? Well said, Lord Renzi. Clearly is troubling me also. Really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been in the carriage from beforehand. Then answer me this. By beforehand, to what specific point in time are you referring? I shall have to penalize the defense heavily for this irrelevant rambling. Okay, we're gonna load. He was put there after he died, maybe.
Objection!
If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door, the other has only windows. Fixed windows which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no entrance to the cabin other than the door.
Objection!
But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes. One other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. All right, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here is the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim entered the cabin? Oh yeah, it's up there.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal has almost has me lost for words. However,
Objection!
the skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses describe? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Good gracious. Perhaps in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylights into the cabin? That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylights, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellows who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellows do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my goodness, surely not. Those two chaps on the roof? Oh god, she gone to warp speed. You mean the one stuck with that knife in the man worm? Ah. Oh my god, it's gonna swing the other way again. Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer? You rotterer, he said. You rotterer, what are you insinuating? This is a flaming outrage. I've got a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute. He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I. Mr. Fairplay, you're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and well-respected banker. And me, a very angry hatter. Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in his guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. I protest in the strongest possible terms. That's right, I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel. What the hell is going on here? What really is going on? This is a mess. Order, order, order. This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know? My lord, if I may comment... Go ahead, Lord Van Zeeks. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accused? I never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You propose to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British courts of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another. If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Oh my god, they're chanting testify. Amazing. What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo? The spectators in the public gallery they're in complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord? You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony in reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord. I didn't come here for this. I'm not liking him more and more as this goes on. There's something really weird going on here. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keeping pushing forward. All right, and actually, that right here is where we're going to pause it as a perfect point to pause where things are getting really insane. So, going to save because I think it's going to get even more insane after this. It's just going to keep catapulting up as the Phoenix Wright games tend to do. So I think this is a good point to pause before it starts to explode. All right, let me swap this on over here. And thank you everybody for tuning in and hanging out while we continued on in the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We got ourselves out of one sticky situation and into yet another one with this entire case. Where it's gonna go, I have no freaking idea. But I guess we'll see soon. Next week, yeah. I should be back Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and probably Thursday too. More hunt then. We will be doing this Monday. Monday will again be Starbase Monday. Wednesday and Friday will probably be more Great Ace Attorney. Maybe something else. We'll see what I pick up. Actually, what's today? No, that's still over a week away. Week after next week we'll be doing a bit of WarioWare. Bring It On, since that's coming out then, and something else coming out on the same day. Another Phasmophobia style game called Forewarned, which looks really good, and it's more about it's game that's a lot more on my speed, not ghost hunting, but tomb raiding. Looks really good. It comes out I think on the same day as WarioWare, so probably split it up between the two. Do a let's check it out for that. But that's 2 weeks away, so don't need to worry about that right now. Let me go see who is streaming that I can send y'all over to. Who is around? Who's around? Who's around that I know? We've rated Chulk recently, so not Chulk. Um, hmm. Would I quite feel comfortable with? Oh, no, there's Redux. Yeah, I'll go send y'all over to Redux. Redux is good bean. They are streaming Gartic Phone, it looks like, and looking at the Floppa memes, it looks like, which is a good timing. Yeah, I will send y'all over to Redux. Get that set up and going. Docs. All right. I will be back Monday, starting 2 p.m. Central. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful weekend. And I will see you all when I see you. Send Redoxed hearts and squeaks. They are an awesome variety streamer. They do a bunch of different things. They're doing Gartic Phone right now with a bunch of others. I'm not sure who all they are with right now. Uh, but should be fun. Anyways, y'all take care now. And bye. Bye bye bye. Bye bye.